what's up?
You're being a brat. She wants everything to be perfect all the time, the kid.
Abby mad.
She's sick.
I'm a perfectionist.
Maddie, stop crying.
It's been 6 years since you danced competitively. Do you miss it?
No.
In July 2011, Lifetime released Dance Moms, a competitive dance series that showcased competitive dancing in a studio run by Abby Lee Miller. What was supposed to be a series highlighting little girls with a passion to dance turned into one of the most toxic displays of emotional abuse in the dance world towards children. Throughout the toxicness, Dance Moms was a cultural phenomenon, drawing in millions of viewers every season and pushing these ladies into superstardom, but at what cost? Although the ladies came out the show successful and richer, they endured emotional, traumatizing abuse that they either had to block out or will never forget. Abby Lee Miller, although played for the cameras, was very much attuned to her behavior on and off the screens, doing what needed to be done. In order to stir up jealousy, competition, and issues between the girls, choosing a favorite to help push this agenda. Maddie Ziegler was considered the lucky one and was looked at as the favorite by not only the moms, but also between the girls. She got majority of the solos, was shown extra attention, and most importantly, week after week was the top of the pyramid. Abby has even admitted this herself, saying that Maddie was indeed the favorite, and it was because Maddie was more hardworking than the other ladies.
I didn't have that. I wanted that, didn't have that. Always, Maddie the favorite. People asked me about that all the time, and it was very simple. She was the favorite because her mother went and got her out of school during the day and brought her when there were no cameras, no producers, no director, no sound guys, and we could work with her, and she could learn her solo ahead of time. She could learn the part of the group dance ahead of time. And she was a good student. She wanted to be there. She loved the dance studio. It was her home away from home. Her parents were going through a really ugly divorce, and that was a safe haven. That was a place where everybody knew her name. She was little and petite and tiny and cute as a button, and the older kids would always pick her up and play with her, and they were sweet to her, and she loved that. I don't know. I think Gianna and I don't want to speak for Gianna, but I think we're very confused by it all because we were kind to her. We were good to that kid. She did get the good music. She did get the good costume. She did get the good routines. We worked our butts off with that kid to make her the best, to win. And she wanted it.
But as time progressed, Abby now feels betrayed because although she put work in Maddie to make her the standout star of Dance Moms, Maddie no longer speaks to Abby. She has distanced herself since she left Dance Moms. Even though Maddie was given the extra attention to be the star among the group, the attention led to a lot of pressure, anxiety, and emotional distress for Maddie. Abby used a lot of detrimental tactics to keep the girls in line, and these tactics were very blatant. That was one of the narratives pushed for the show, that Maddie was the favorite and Maddie was the best dancer among the group. And she played that role well in the show's confessional scenes. Maddie even admitted it herself that the producers would encourage her to call herself the best to continue the storyline.
I was doing the show in the first season. I was 7. There was male producers saying, this is what you have to say. My mom wasn't in the room, so I was like, okay, I just have to do whatever I'm being told. They would say you're the best, say you're better than everyone else, say blah, blah, blah. And so I was perceived kind of like a little brat. And I just cried because I was like, oh my gosh, everyone thinks I'm this bitch, and I'm not. I'm 7.
Because Abby put Maddie on this pedestal of perfection, it put a lot of pressure on her. Being as young as 8 to be a perfectionist gave her a lot of anxiety. All the girls of Abby's dance team had anxiety. They all regularly cried tears of not feeling like they're good enough and feeling immense pressure to prove Abby wrong. What made it different from Maddie was even though Maddie got more leniency to make more mistakes than the other girls, she still was pushing to make Abby happy because she didn't want to lose her position.
In my heart.
Abby's gonna freak out. I wanna go again. No. Abby's gonna freak out. I wanna go again.
This often meant Abby being spiteful to pit the girls against each other.
Maddie makes mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes, honey. Everybody makes mistakes.
Abby yell at Maddie?
Because she doesn't yell at Maddie. I don't want to hear that.
Creating an extremely competitive and often hostile environment. Girls like Nia, Kendall, and Chloe were often ranked lower or chastised for not being as good as Maddie. By constantly highlighting Maddie as a star and implying that the other dancers should aspire to be like her, Abby set the girls up to see Maddie as a rival rather than a teammate. Abby assigned solos and prime parts in group numbers to her favorites, creating resentment among the other dancers and their moms. For instance, when Chloe and Maddie were given both similar solos, Abby would tell Maddie that she expected her to win, which indirectly put down Chloe's abilities. Similarly, Nia and Paige often received less challenging choreography and less attention from Abby, reinforcing a hierarchy that kept them feeling inferior. Abby would also use public criticism to heighten the competition, calling out one girl in front of the others and even bringing in rival dancers from the outside team to motivate her dancers. By creating constant comparisons and publicly showcasing her favoritism, rivalry, and tension, and undermining any real sense of trust within the group, this method was aimed to make each dancer strive harder to please Abby, but it often led to tears, jealousy, and fractured relationships among the girls. And also the mothers. Even though Abby favored Maddie, this led to Maddie to become a people pleaser. She desperately wanted to make Abby happy. She constantly looked for Abby's approval, which Abby knew. She preyed on that weakness with Maddie and used it for her own twisted game or for the sake of the show. Abby is the perfect villain. She's a perfect reality TV villain because she was willing to go down a dark road of mental games with children for the sake of good drama. And her mother, Melissa, allowed it. Melissa understood that Maddie was a favorite. Of course she was happy about that. That's her daughter, and I'm sure she wanted to get her money's worth. Being on a hit show on Lifetime wouldn't be an opportunity many would pass off. Melissa allowed her daughter to be exploited by Abby and used because she knew, since Maddie was a favorite, that she was going to get a return on her investment. Which she was right about, because Maddie ended up getting a huge break to be cast on Sia's Chandelier, which ended up being a hit song in 2014, but even that relationship turned into something weird and somewhat excessive, and honestly, that's a story for another day. Although Maddie cried a lot during the show, she had issues truly expressing her emotions. In the Maddie Diaries, Maddie mentions that she often bottled up her feelings because she feared that showing vulnerability or dissatisfaction could make Abby disappointed in her, potentially risking her position as the team's favorite. But with the opportunities Maddie was getting outside the show, eventually she saw it as a ticket out of Abby's grasp. Maddie having a close relationship with Sia opened up a lot of doors for her. Melissa kissing up to Abby for years helped push Maddie to the forefront like she wanted. The collab with Sia pushed Maddie into a different spotlight where she could leverage that. This business relationship continued as Sia put her in more music videos, like Elastic Heart, Big Girls Cry, and The Greatest. These new connections allowed her to keep growing her resume, opportunities that don't come easily for an average underage dancer, like performing at the 2015 Grammys alongside Sia, appearing on talk shows like Ellen and The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. She started getting acting roles, including a part in the film The Book of Henry. She was really able to network and leverage herself into the industry to the point she felt like she didn't need Abby anymore. As she got older within the dance studio, she started to become more aware of what she was dealing with compared to when she was 8 years old. When Maddie left the studio, it felt like a betrayal to Abby. Abby spent years molding Maddie in the most untactful ways, growing a relationship with her that was very delusional. As Abby probably sees it as tough love, Maddie is possibly grateful for the shine that it gave her, but it also made her lose the joy she got from dancing. She can't even watch the show because of how sad it was to see herself as a child crying. The atmosphere was toxic, being that's the show premise for drama, and she, along with the other girls, grew tired of the toxicity. As she started slowly losing her passion for dance, Maddie grew to become a great dancer, but the constant pressure and the stressful situations grew more mundane for her. She openly expressed that she is content with no longer speaking to Abby, while Abby doesn't fully understand why, with her saying in interviews that Maddie absolutely wants nothing to do with me, and that's sad, but it is what it is. Abby, although helped Maddie, she very much used her, and in the end had to reap what she sowed by being in the girls' lives for their childhood, and the girls no longer respecting her as not only their teacher, but a part of their childhood stories in their adulthood. Maddie was able to escape the dance mom's threshold and kick Abby to the side, using that same pedestal that Abby placed her on. Let me know what you guys think down below about Abby Lee and Maddie, and how Maddie was able to pivot away from Dance Moms into a new career where she became Sia's muse. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Toodles!